when the firestorm was really raging, that whole patch of blue sky out that way was just full of an enormous mushroom cloud. Everything was just this yellowish, unearthly kind of color. It looked like the end of the world out there. I mean, it really was a kind of an apocalyptic thing, you know.
There were a vast amount of acres just destroyed by this fire.
It was 560,000 acres, I believe was the figure.
It was beyond my imagination to see a fire that ferocious burning in the heart of the Okefenokee.
In December of '06, it was so dry that George Constantino, the refuge manager, and myself actually walked up one of the dried down canoe trails.
And it was a bear. The fire had been there about 5 or 6 years before. It had grown up, there were down trees. We were crawling on our hands and knees to get through. And at one point, Robert said, let's go see what the canoe trail looks like.
There was no water in the run at all. We walked from Pine Island up to Craven's Hammock.
And at that point, it dawned on me, this really is a drought. The fire actually got started way before our typical fire season. I mean, we're ready, we're getting ready, and we're thinking we have a month or two ahead of time before the lightning season starts. When a day very much like today, it was very cold, it was very dry, very high winds, and it caused some electrical loss to spark. And that spark hit, and that fire started what's called the Sweat Farm Road fire.
The power line hit the ground and caused a spark in a fire that ran eventually 12 miles into the northwest corner of the refuge.
There was somebody pretty much on the scene that saw it, got on the phone, you know, was saying, hey, we've got a fire starting up. And I mean, the Georgia Forestry people and others were on this thing immediately.
The Sweat Farm Road fire really got large and started really building huge fire examples. I mean, I flew over that one day with Howard McCullough, and there were fire lengths that were like 150 feet.
Everything was orange glow down below, but you really couldn't see the active flames because right across the base of it, it was boiling the water out of the peat bed along its leading edge, and it was just creating this steam skirt.
The conditions were such that it was going to be hard to control. I mean, Georgia, from the initial start of the fire, all they could do was just kind of follow up the flanks, the two edges of the fire. They couldn't get out in front of it and do much because it was just spotting so far out ahead of itself.
And the fact of the matter is, while Okefenokee Swamp itself, ecologically speaking, needs to burn and will burn pretty regularly when we get a drought period, we have a landscape of industrial tree farms. That's what the pineland upland that surrounds Okefenokee and that dominates southeast Georgia is comprised of.
When you have an extreme drought period like we had, you pretty much have to just ride that drought out and wait on that season-ending rain.
The refuge does a better and better job all the time at working in cooperation and in partnership with the local community in these larger efforts.
During any emergency, that seems like when everybody pulls together and helps each other, and there was tremendous support from the local communities.
It's the Okefenokee Swamp. You know, it's mysterious, it is large, it is wild, it has all those attributes that just come along with that name. It's really a pleasure to be on a refuge that has name recognition all throughout the world. It's just a really unique refuge to be at.